So I was out early this morning, picked up a very small collection. I'm not even sure, does 7 books count as a collection? But it did have a big key that looks great. I got it for a good price. It does have a pop staple. We'll take a look at all the books I picked up and talk about first appearances. And it's a first appearance of a Justice League of America member. Some of those are easy. Most of those are really hard to come by. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Follow us on the other socials. You can check the links in the description below for my Instagram, my whatnot, eBay, email. All of that stuff is in there. So I had the week off. On Monday, I saw a Facebook Marketplace ad. I was looking through them. Usually I don't have a lot of success with those. Usually it's somebody trying to sell, a bunch of long boxes for fair market value of all the books. And, but I came across one that was intriguing. It was Silver Age books. There are only 7 of them. So does that qualify as buying a collection if there are only 7? I looked at the pictures, couldn't tell much, but they looked somewhat promising. And I thought the price was right. And it's a series. And in particular, one book that I've been after. I've gotten copies. I want more. So I messaged the guy, can you eat tonight? I couldn't do Monday night, but since I was off, I was able to do Tuesday morning. So it was about maybe a 50-minute drive to get there. It was close enough. And I looked at the books, and I knew, based on his asking price, that I thought it was worth it as long as one book was solid. Okay, it didn't have to be in high grade, and it looked great, but there was one problem with it, and I'll talk about that. It was complete, but let's go through the 7 books that I got, and I'm going to take this out of the bag because this is fun. This I discovered when I got home. Hawkman number 9. With this appearance by the Matter Master. The Atom appears, a very nice looking copy. Unfortunately, the bottom staple is popped. But this book is a double cover. Now, also, unfortunately, the inside cover, the bottom staple is popped. And that's going to be maybe a little bit of a theme that we're going to talk about. This, I think I have a 9. This is staying in the personal collection. Doesn't matter. It's a double cover, I think if this staple was intact, I think this is probably an 8.85 after cleaning a press. Really gorgeous. So that's number 9. Number 8. Another high-grade copy. And the thing with the Hawkman run, and I might have talked about this in other videos. When I was a kid, big Justice League of America fan, collected, tried to collect those issues as best I could, right? And I was interested in collecting the members. Now, at that point in time, only 8 members had their own series. The members, Green Arrow never had his own series when I was, as of the 1970s. Neither had Elongated Man or Red Tornado. And there were 3 characters. There were 5 who had ongoing series. Flash and Green Lantern, which had series from the Silver Age forward. And the Flash continued the numbering from the Golden Age. And I knew those were going to be really difficult to collect all the issues of. And I also knew Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman would be impossible. Oh, John Jones. Well, John Jones was no longer a member. But at any rate, Hawkman, Atom, and Aquaman all had shorter runs of series. Aquaman, 50-some-odd issues. Adam and Hawkman 20 or 30 some odd issues. I'm not even sure off the top of my head. So I decided, let me target those series. And I did. And I don't think if I have one more book, that's all I need for my Aquaman run. And I'm getting close on the Hawkman run. These will fill in a couple of gaps, and there'll certainly be some upgrades. This is also a really nice copy. Number 7, another beautiful book. Right? They all have, like, I mean, for their age, they're gorgeous. I think this is 1967, if I'm not mistaken. I can actually check that. No, actually, this is 1965. These books are, believe it or not, these books are older than I am. And they look better than me. They've held up better. Hawkman number 6, Flying Gorilla cover. I do have this, but man, this is an upgrade. This is another pretty one. Very nice copy. Very high grade. Number 3. Not quite as high grade, but still pretty good. It does have some dirt or staining on it. I don't know if I'm going to clean this off or what. Probably an upgrade over what I have. Number 2 it's solid. It's a little weaker than the others. It has something, I'm not sure if that is like ink lift from something that was on top of it, like an ad, because it's like a mirror image of something. And I don't know what it is. It's like a stamp or something very strange on the cover. And of course, number 4. This is the reason I drove to get this collection, to get these 7 books, was Hawkman number 4. Now, unfortunately, this, like number 9, and I saw it as I was looking through it, but it's still worth it for what I paid for it. Popped bottom staple. If the staple's intact on this one, I'm thinking 8 on this book. So I still think it's like a 5.5 with the pop staple. Might be the best copy I have. So I may get this graded. If I do get this graded, of course, I have to be exceedingly careful with the top staple if I'm going to press that. So I'm going to take kid gloves with this. But I mean, look at just gorgeous copy of this book, the first appearance of Zatanna. Now, I wanted to use this because it's such a small haul to talk about the first appearances of the Justice League of America members. The original, stopping before Justice League Detroit or Justice League International and all those various incarnations since. The original Justice League of America. So I said, well, this is kind of a crazy little experiment, but what would it cost? What would it cost to get all those first appearances? Let's jump into the computer. So the final member they added was Firestorm in issue 179. And he was the last member until they rebooted the series with the Justice League Detroit, when they brought in Steel, Vibe, Vixen, Gypsy, and got rid of everybody except Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, and Elongated Man. Not your father's Justice League of America. That may have been your father's. I don't know. But it wasn't a favored period of time for us JLA fans. So Firestorm's first appearance is in his own self-titled series. One of only 2 characters for whom that's true. And the other one, I think, will surprise you. See if you can figure out who it is. So Firestorm number 1 is from 1978. And so let's splurge. Let's say, okay, we're going to spend $780 on a 9.8. Okay. We could get it like $100 for a nice, look, $37 for a 9.2. That's crazy. All of these trending down. I want to find a raw high grade and get a 9.8 out of it, but that's for another time. But let's say we're going to spend $780. We're going to splurge on this one, because I don't think we can splurge on all of them, because it's unrealistic anyway. The previous is who we've just talked about, Zatanna, who's dressed much differently here. She changed her costume a couple times during her time with the JLA. You know, she's blasts with her fingers, but she doesn't say anything backwards to do that. Anyway, so her first appearance, as we just saw, is Hawkman number 4 from 1964. And let's say we want a nice solid 7, right? So that's 90-day average of 736. So that's going to cost a 7.0 for Zatanna is going to be about the same as a 9.8 for Firestorm. Let's go backwards a little bit. And in issue 146, Hawkgirl joins, but her first appearance coincides with Hawkman, and she's not the only character whose first appearance is in the same book as another Justice League member. But those are unrelated. So now we got to go back to 1973, and when Red Tornado joins the team. He had come over from Earth 2, and his first appearance had been just a few years earlier in Justice League of America number 64. Great cover appearance. And this is a book from 1968. A cheap book, like a wicked cheap book in high grade. So, I mean, you can get, we'll take recent sale, let's say a 9.2 for $310. I'm going to spend $310 on Red Tornado, and that'll be it. I mean, I think a 9.8 would just be hard to find from 1968. There aren't many of them. There just been a few sold, and all in the like $1,500 range, I guess. I mean, weird that it's down from $2,900 in 2017 to $1,700 in 19 and 21. But at any rate, let's move on. It's interesting. Red Tornado joined in 106. The previous issue was when Elongated Man joined the team in 105. Now, his first appearance is all the way back in 1960 in Flash 112. He's got a cover appearance here as well. And that book, let's say we wanted that in a 775, $840. Okay. So right now we're at 1518, about $2,700. Okay. That's a reasonable amount of money if you really want to spend the money on this. Now, just 2 issues before that, the Phantom Stranger joined the team. Now, he wasn't really a card-carrying member, but he was considered an official member. He did show up from time to time, and they all got spooked out by it. But his first appearance is, interestingly, he's, along with Firestorm, the only one in issue number 1 of his own self-titled series. But this is back in the 1950s. He did have a 6-issue series. He came back in the Silver Age and Showcase. And then got his own series after that. But I mean, this is an impossible book to find. But I mean, like the most recent sale, in any decent grade is like July of last year for $2,000. So let's say we have to spend $2,000 on Phantom Stranger. I have seen there's a guy at the Clifton show who has a beat up copy, but I see if I can talk him down. At some point, maybe, but it's like in the 1 range, I think. It looks really kind of messed up. So anyway, that's Phantom Stranger. Now, the character to join prior to that, and this is a little bit of an asterisk, Black Canary joined in issue number 75. Is this her first appearance? It wasn't at the time. It was retconned in like issue 220 something, I think it was. So when I was a kid, the Black Canary that was a member of the Justice League was believed to, we all thought, was the Black Canary who had been a Justice Society member back in the 1940s, which would have made her quite a cougar at the time. I mean, if she was, let's say, 21 in her first appearance, then by the early 70s, well, that's 20. She'd be closing in on 50, right? They retconned it that it was her daughter who she never knew about, and then she died along with Larry Lance, and her daughter took over the role, and that's why she had the superpower of the Sonic Cry, which the Earth 2 Black Canary never did. So it changed the dynamic a little bit, but I'm going to go with Black Canary's true first appearance in Flash Comics number 86. Now we're going back to the Golden Age, all the way back to 1947. So we're going to take a reasonable copy. What? let's say we want, there was a sale in October 2022. I mean, we're going to have to spend for a mid-grade copy about $10,000. It's kind of crazy, but $10,000 for first Black Canary, not a lot sold recently, man. So prior to that, Hawkman joined in issue 31, The Riddle of the Runaway Room. Now, his first appearance was in Brave and the Bold 34, and that was a book from 1961. Of course, Hawkgirl had her first appearance too. This is the Silver Age incarnations. Their backstory gets really, really confusing after Crisis. But pre-Crisis, let's say, okay, what do we have? Like the elongated man was like in the 7 range. So a 7, let's say a 7.5, 11.50. We're going to spend 11.50 on Hawkman. Okay, get a nice, solid, presenting upper mid-grade copy. Now, before that, in issue 14, Adam joins the team. His first appearance is in Showcase number 34. And that is from 1961. We want a 775. We're talking about $1,300. So about the same price as the Hawkman, in the low thousands. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Okay. Well, we're going to go to Justice League of America number 4. Green Arrow becomes the 8th member of the team. And there's something interesting about both of these covers. The cover to issue number 14 and issue number 4. Neither of them show Batman or Superman. They did not. They made a small cover appearance in 10 as a finger puppet of Felix Faust. But it wasn't until issue 19 that Superman and Batman, although they were members of the team all along, went on the cover. It was always the other 5 original members on all 3 Brave and the Bold issues and on the first 18 issues of Justice League. And then you see by the time Adam comes along, Green Arrow is added to the fun. Just a little side fact. So, but Green Arrow's first appearance, like Hawkgirl, coincides with another member. So we're going to hold off on that, right? So he was the first member to join after the team was formed. So you got to go back to Brave and the Bold number 28, the first appearance of the Justice League of America. And again, we see here just the 5 characters, no Superman or Batman, the other 5 founding members. Now, fun fact, this particular issue is the first cover appearance for both the Martian Manhunter and for Aquaman. It took him, I mean, this is a book from, what year is this? 1959. It took him 18 years to get a cover appearance. Poor Aquaman. So let's take a look at the original members. We're going to kind of go in reverse chronological order, their first appearances. Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan version. His first appearance was in Showcase number 22. And that's a book from 1959. Let's say we want, we're gonna go down a little bit. Let's say we want a 6.5, right? Look at the jump from a 6.5 to a 7.5 is, wow, triple up. Let's say 10,500. Okay, so that's, you know, kind of in line with Black Canary. We're spending 10 grand. Now, we get a nice copy, right? That's a lot of money. Showcase number 4. First appearance of the Barry Allen version of The Flash. This is the book that started the Silver Age. So this is a much more important book, even though you may like the character Green Lantern better. It's a couple of years earlier. It's 1956. It's 3 years earlier. And it started the Silver Age. This changed comic books. Now, this is an expensive book. So we're going to be a little more, let's say, what can we afford? Let's say a 5.0 for $30,000, right? We just won Powerball. So $30,000 for Showcase 4. Now, we're still in the Silver Age, kind of. We're in late, very late Golden Age, but it's post-code. Detective Comics number 225, the first appearance of the Manhunter from Mars. Interestingly, no issue number on the cover. Now, this book, what, are we going to go to a 502, right? That's probably about right. Let's go to a 60. You're going to spend $6,600 for this book. And this is a book from 1955. So it is technically Golden Age, but very late Golden Age. And you really aren't going to see anything. I mean, nothing sold in the last few years for above a 6.5. Okay, this is a book on my wish list, but man, that's going to be, it's not a book you see on walls at shows. Now, let's keep going back. Wonder Woman's first appearance, All-Star Comics number 8, one of the Trinity, one of the holy grails of the Golden Age, one of the most important books. Wonder Woman, not the first female superhero, but the most important female superhero. I don't think there's really you can get any argument about that. And certainly one of the few female superheroes who's completely original, not a copy of a male superhero like Supergirl, Mary Marvel, Batgirl, She-Hulk, etc., etc. So this book, okay, we're going to go down to a 3.0 to something we can afford, to about $31,000. Now, funny story. One of the recent collections I picked up from the guy I deal with at the antique store, he had just gotten pictures from a woman that he was trying to get her information. And one of the books in the pictures of these comics she'd come across was an All-Star Comics 8. And the pictures, this is kind of mind-boggling. The books were laid out on her bathroom floor. That's how she was taking pictures, like on the bath mat, right? That you'd step on when you get out of the shower, and you could see her feet in the pictures. It was just like insane that this book was in there. Now, if you want a higher grade copy, if you want a 9.4, you could spend $1.5 million. But we'll keep it sane, right? 3.0. We'll stay with 3.0 for this book and the next one. Then we'll have to make some concessions. But we're still dealing in fantasy land, so let's go to the next book. So this is a book from 1942, 1941. More Fun Comics number 73. Spectre in the corner box, Dr. Fate on the cover, but this particular comic is the first appearance of both Aquaman and Green Arrow, as well as Speedy. So it makes it Teen Titans' first appearance is difficult to collect also. At any rate, 3.0. What do we want? What's the 3.0 going to cost us? I don't even know. Right? A 6.0, 90,000, 120,000 for 6.5. Let's say we're going to have to go to a 2.0. Let's say $72,000. I don't even know what the census of this book is, but so between this and the Wonder Woman, it's over $100,000. So we've gone up quite a bit from that $780 for a 9.8 Firestorm one, right? So now we're left to the big two. There's only 2 original members left. Batman. Of course, we all know his first appearance, Detective Comics, number 27 from May of 1939. And that book is, let's say, a 2.0. We're going to buy a 2.0. What does a 2.0 go for? Oh, I don't know. We're going to have to go up to a 3.0 and spend $600,000 for a recent sale. Just very recent. $600,000. Did this sell at the same time as that Superman, the action one? Well, let's see. Now, if you want a higher grade copy, right? A 9.6 sold for $82. I don't think that's a real sale. I think that must be a facsimile. But an 8.0 sold for just over $1 million back in 2010, and a 7.0 for $1.5 million in 2020. And this Bob Kane signed. That's probably the only time he put pen and ink to paper on a Batman book. $1.74 million. And then the last book we need to complete the collection of Justice League first appearances is Action Comics number 1, the first appearance of Superman. And by now, my expression looks a lot like this guy's. Oh, boy. So, hey, if we hit Powerball, could we do it? How much money would we need? Just kind of a fun game to play. I don't have this much money. Full disclosure. So let's say we want a 2.0. What a 2.0? Let's see. Okay, a 3.0 went for $1.6 million. I'm just going to put it at 1.6. So that's like $1 million more than Batman. Right? So if we wanted to theoretically buy all of these first appearances, get them, be nice to line them all up. from Action 1 to Firestorm 1. It would be a kind of a weird progression. I'm just going to add all these up. The total is going to be about $2,367,216. So just under $2.4 million. So now here's the question. If I win Powerball or Mega Millions and won like $100 million, should I spend 2.5 of it on a bunch of comic books? It's real tempting. Like, what would you put in your collection? This is just, I just wanted to look at these first appearances and, just kind of see where these characters came from. Unfortunately, the only books that are even somewhat affordable are Firestorm and Red Tornado. All the other books are hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, because these are the heavy hitters of DC. And, obviously they added later iterations of the team. Some of those first appearances are less expensive, right? But still, you're talking about first appearances of, Dr. Fate, but, the first appearance of like somebody like Tasmanian Devil or General Glory, Aztec or Jesse Quick are really kind of affordable, but it is kind of fun that obviously there've been iterations, including Justice League Dark and so on and so forth. But this was my Justice League growing up. That was the book that I first collected. And, Zatanna wasn't a member until I was a little bit older, but all of those first appearances seemed unattainable to me. Even the number ones of the series, like Adam, Aquaman, and Hawkman. As a kid, those were expensive books and beyond what my allowance enabled me to collect. So let me know what you think about these books about the pickup of the Hawkman 4 and the sadness of the Pop staple. Now, also, this is something for the community. If you have any information on this, right? I was talking to Joe from 360 Comics about this, about popped staples. And we were talking about, in our experience, it is usually more likely that it's the bottom staple. Why is that? He posited that maybe, when you grab the book and you're holding it to read, you're putting more pressure down there. That could be true. My theory, at least in part, I don't think there's any one particular reason, but I think a contributing factor is when the books are stored. Now, remember, they were originally on newsstands. They were sitting upright. So they're stored. There's much more weight at that part of the book on the staple than at the top of the book. So, when you store a book vertically, especially if there's nothing else there, the weight of the book is pushing a little bit on that bottom staple. But what are you going to do? Man, if those books had intact bottom staples, they would be great to have the double cover and a high grade Hawkman 4 for Zatanna. So anyway, I'm really happy to pick up the books and add these to my collection. These probably are not going to be on sale anytime soon. I'm going to have to dig out under copies, it looks like, and compare. So I'm collecting the Hawkman run. I think. What do I need? I have almost all of them. And if I look at what I have in my collection, I think I just need issue 1, because I did not have 6, 9, 2, or 3. No, like 3 7s. But yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for stopping by. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.